What can prevent us from improving ourselves? All right, that's the question for today. Welcome to my channel. Glad you can make it. And my name's Thomas. I do educational videos on many different subjects. Right now, at the start of this channel, we're going to be laying the foundation by studying Tree of Life, and I'll be presenting 144 different videos on the various aspects of Tree of Life, and that kind of is the groundwork that we need to put down, or at least I think we need to put down before getting into the other topics. Most of the other subjects that I teach are relatively basic subjects, you know, the 3 R's: history, music, health and fitness, meditation, spirituality, but I present a different take on those subjects, more quantum take on them, based more on fundamentals and kind of breaking things down. So a lot of times you have to unlearn a lot of things that you learned in your schooling. And so it becomes a little bit confusing, and that's why we use Tree of Life. Tree of Life is a thing that helps you greatly with your decision making, your prioritizing, and your memory, and also your defense, to be able to defend yourselves from attacks that you're going to get. And so we're going to put down the, structure with the Tree of Life, and then we'll be moving on to other subjects. So we'll start there. The Tree of Life here is a model. You can think of it as really as a map of consciousness. And this goes way back to ancient Egypt, if not before, if not much before. And the ancient Hebrews used it. Modern Hebrews use it. Many modern occultists use it. And many of them use it for evil purposes. So I'll just say that, but it's not an evil model. It's just the intention of the people are evil. It's a neutral technology like anything else. It can be used for good or evil. It depends on the intention of the user. And so, but what it can do is it can help you with defending yourselves against attacks from these evil Kabbalists who are using this. So the Hebrews called this the Kabbalah. So did the occultists, although they spell it differently when they call it Kabbalah, and the Christians spell it differently also when they call it Kabbalah. So this model is basically, like I said, a map of our faculties of consciousness. You can see that there are 10 different circles or spheres that are numbered: 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. There is an implied circle here, or sphere, called the abyss. And then there is a 0 above the tree. So that's 12 different categories, or really 12 different faculties or abilities or aspects of consciousness. So they break down, like the 10th sphere is really our survival instinct, our life force, the lowest aspect of our life force, our most fundamental life force, that which keeps us alive in spite of our unconscious, that keeps us alive unconsciously. And that this is the law of the jungle: kill or be killed, the state of nature, fight or flight responses. These are all, part of our program. Once we are born, we have this within us. Now, we can also invert this and lose our life force, or at least, destroy our life force, or diminish our life force through our own actions, such as lusts and defilements. And so that is also the province of the 10th sphere. Is a negative 10th sphere would be to really kind of diminish your life force through your own lusts and defilements. Okay, then the 9th sphere is where the 10th sphere is like our wild animal. The 9th sphere is our domesticated animal. So this is what we get in the domestic sphere at home. Growing up, the first several years of our life, when we are, life is wondrous. Everything is to us is brand new. We're seeing things all and everything's fresh, and we are soaking it up like a sponge. We're highly receptive to our environment. It's also called mediumistic trance. And we're basically in the home, the people that we are around who are caregivers, who are cleaning us up and feeding us and sheltering us, they have influence over us because they're in our environment and we're devoted to them. And so we watch intently what they do, and then we imitate what they do, and then we practice that imitation until we get it right. So that's all part of the eighth sphere faculties: heightened receptivity, imitation or mimicry, and then repetition until we learn it. Okay, now the main problem with the ninth sphere is that it's blind, so it will copy you regardless of, whether you're a mass murderer or a rapist, or a good Samaritan or whatever. You will, they will copy, the young child will copy regardless of, the, good or bad of the action. And then we have the eighth sphere, which is also similarly blind. It doesn't discern between good and evil. The eighth sphere is really about status, wealth, resources. But where the ninth sphere is the domestic sphere, the eighth sphere is the public sphere. So this is what we get when we go out into the real world, when we go to school, when we go to church, when we go to the rec center, when we go to the mall, when we go to the movies. We're exposed to the eighth sphere. This is the consensus worldview. This is the expert opinion. This is the everybody knows that, the conventional wisdom. And then this is a consensus. It's a constructed consensus. They make us think that everybody is on board with this eighth sphere, and they prop up people who sing their praises. So that is how you get into the eighth sphere. That's how you get into the best schools. That's how you get the best grades on the test. That's how you get the best jobs, is by basically pretending that you believe in this. And sometimes you really do believe in it, and sometimes it is true, but sometimes it isn't, because the eighth sphere is a trickster, and a deceiver and a distractor. And so they tell you what they want you to believe for their own convenience. If it's true, great, but if we have to deceive you, then we have to deceive you. And so we end up kind of being in a pickle here, where things that they tell us are true don't exactly coincide with our own experience. And so we're torn, into figuring out, we're not really even figuring it out. It's unconscious, but we're torn between, affirming our own experience and getting into the eighth sphere, which is where all the resources are located and all the good jobs and everything else. So a lot of times people will resolve that by giving lip service to the eighth sphere and pretty much just pretending that they believe in it, which can be a slippery slope, because eventually they'll find themselves stuck there. Or or rationalizing, another a faculty of the sphere. The sphere's basic faculties are belief systems and rationalization, or rational faculty. But rationalization is like a negative sphere, where you reject your own experience in favor of what they're telling you is true here. And this is the classic emperor wears no clothes type of situation. And you know, what happens is that people end up getting stuck in the sphere because they commit to a certain level, they give it too much lip service, and then they get trapped in there, a lot of times bribed or blackmailed, or just kind of coerced into being there. And we will be talking about that later in this video. But what we just really need to recognize is to putting it in perspective, and that's where the tree can become very valuable, is to recognize that the sphere is just another one of the spheres. And at that, it's only the third of the 12. And it is the third of our 12 faculties. It's lower ranking faculty. And so it's not everything, you know. That's how the sphere deceives us into thinking that, you know, they have this consensus that everybody, you know, this is the be all end all. This is the goal of your life to get here. This is the measure of your success to be here. What we can recognize that, well, we have to get into the sphere to a certain degree. You know, it's useful to be rational. It's useful to have beliefs, but it is not the end of the road. We got to keep moving. And so when we keep moving, we can keep the sphere upright, keep it in perspective, and then move over here to the 7th sphere, where the sphere is about the real world. The 7th sphere is more about the imaginary world. So the 7th sphere is for people who get into the sphere, who suss out the sphere and smell a rat. They see that there's something wrong with this sphere, and they come over here and they imagine something better. Okay, so imagination is one of the main faculties here at the 7th sphere, along with inspiration, maybe having seen somebody doing such a thing before. Also, inspiration, intuition, which is as a result of curiosity. When you ask, like, I wonder what could be done. How can we improve this? You know, you ask yourself deep down, and your heart will provide you with answers to your questions. Now, you might mistranslate those answers based on biases and so on. So you need to be able to verify your intuitions. Intuition doesn't stand alone. It must be verified. And then you also have your creative faculty, your ability to turn things into new things and original things. And then you have your pleasure principle, being able to put things together in pleasing arrangements for yourself and others. And you can use all these things to come up with your alternative to the sphere, whether that's an invention or whether that's a piece of art or intellectual property or something to that effect that provides alternatives to this sphere. And then at the top of the 7th sphere, you experience this higher calling, you know, where you really start to tune into yourself and, like, what are you here for? What are you doing here? You know, what's your purpose? And you know, at the sphere, they limit you. They give you the set of your possible purposes. You know, you can be a cop, you can be a doctor, you can be a lawyer, or you can be a banker. But here, you're being the best version of yourself, and you cultivate that. And that's what propels you on your mission up for higher, to the higher spheres. And that starts with the 6th sphere, which is our free will faculty. And the free will boils down to our ability to pay attention and our ability to make decisions. What we find is that this is our essence. This is where we are located. This is our the center point of our attention. but unfortunately our attention is being focused or directed down in this direction toward the bottom of the tree, because this is our comfort zone. This is what we're accustomed to. This is what we've grown up with. And so we have to kind of physically or consciously, through the other aspect of free will, our ability to make decisions, we have to consciously make the decision to avert our attention from this area here and to point our attention up the tree, to the higher spheres, which requires a great deal of courage. You have to stand in the face of fear, because fear generally, abhors the unknown. And this area here is mostly unknown, mostly untapped potential. Whereas this area, we've already kind of thrashed through this area. So it's comfortable for us to pay attention here. But what we need to do to evolve further is to turn ourselves around and focus our attention on the higher spheres. And that's to start with to the fifth sphere. So the fifth sphere, you can kind of think of there being a mirror right here. The fifth sphere is our sense of justice. And the justice is really our karma, which is basically, our karma is basically based on violence, waste, and violation. And so you see this mirror here. When you act, then you get, karma is like, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. As you sow, so shall you reap. What comes around goes around, boomerang. So you act in a certain way, but if that action is unjust, meaning that it has violence, waste, or violation involved, then you will have an unjust return, an unjust reaction to that. And you can go and cry about how you're a victim, or how things are, things never go right for you, but you created that. And if you can realize that from paying attention, it might not happen the first time, but over time, if you're paying attention to your actions and your reactions, then you can recognize that you can take responsibility for your actions, and recognize that actually I need to clean up my actions. That's why I'm getting such bad results. Okay, so that's a way you can use your fifth sphere, your karma, as a teacher for you, as a guide. Okay, then where the fifth sphere is like about our the enforcement of the natural law and order of things, the fourth sphere is about the enforcement of that, or the articulation of that natural law and order. So this is where you have your cosmologies, your ancient holy books, and theories of everything that purport to talk about how everything all fits together. Who is God? Who are we? What is our relationship with God? What are we doing here? What's the purpose of it all? And then, what are the rules? What are the rules of the game? What are the laws of physics? What are the laws of mathematics? What are the laws of chemistry? Figure out what the rules of the game, what are the criteria here? And there are many, many different kinds of cosmologies, and really every civilization has their ancient holy books. So there's a lot of material here, but what probably is the best approach is the synthesis, or the syncretic approach, where you're taking in as many of these as you can and studying them, and then using your intuition. Again, going inside and asking, how do I make sense of all this jumble of information? And again, your heart will provide you with some answers and some ways of approaching it. Again, they have to be verified. But this is a complex form of intuition. So here, the simple intuition, you don't have to be prepared. You can just ask. But here, you have to really do your homework before you can get useful answers from your intuition. You have to already be at a certain level, and the intuition just, gives you a little bit of a bump or a boost. Okay, then the this also corresponds to our universals: universal law, universal language, universal love. Universal love as being to give seeking nothing in return and to love our enemies. Okay, then we go to the abyss here. This is our psychic powers. And our psychic powers really amount to psychic heat and psychic receptivity. The psychic heat is in response to an omen. An omen comes in your life where it's something that is very out of the ordinary, against the principles of statistics, an anomaly, a coincidence, a synchronicity, a deja vu. These things all should trigger in your mind that this is something important to keep an eye on. And it also carries with it a path of action. And so that is the second part, which is called psychic heat, the ability to act upon the omen. And so if you know what you're supposed to do from the omen, then if you do that, you will be able to really fulfill your psychic powers. But that also requires a great deal of courage, because the action that's prescribed is always very difficult to pull off. And it's also exposes you to vulnerability, and it just puts you out there. Okay, now the 3, 2, and 1 at the top of the tree are our divine faculties within. Here we have omnipotence, all-powerful; omniscience, all-knowing; omnipresence, all-present, all at once, eternally. This is really our ability to really fulfill our higher calling. And, we tap into this very gradually, but we can use a sound in order to really fulfill this through mantra or sacred music, shamanic drumming, whirling dervishes, or ecstatic dancing, to be able to really kind of tune into the rhythms. Each one of these different spheres on the tree has a specific rhythm to it. And when we can kind of tune into that and repeat that over and over again, we can kind of open up these different aspects, and that opens up our omnipotence, or our power, potential, to fulfill our potential. Then the second sphere is wisdom, omniscience, all-knowing wisdom. This is our ability to solve problems. Not only to solve our problems, but to solve other people's problems, and also to solve, to avoid our own problems. And we can do this through, really, we are able to kind of see into the future, to predict the future. And we do this by not thinking, by shutting off the thought process in our head, which is the opposite of the A sphere, which tells you to solve problems by thinking. But when you do that, you end up creating other problems that you didn't foresee. But you can clean up your whole situation here at the second sphere with wisdom, with being able to kind of clear your mind to the extent that it's transparent, and then you're able to really see into your deepest center at the first sphere. So this is an image of the creator within, and that is where the wisdom is contained. Now, if you go all the way up to the first sphere, not only are you able to see that image, but you're able to be there at the center of your being, and to merge with the center of your being, or your higher self inside. And that is a unifying thing, because once you do that, you recognize that what's at your center is the same as what's at everybody else's center. And that is a unifying factor. Then the zero sphere above the tree is like our mystery, or nothingness. It is the zero sphere is part of the creator, but it is not part of the universe. So we don't have direct access to this. Only through our understanding of the creator do we understand the zero sphere. Okay, now that is the basics of the tree, the 12 original categories of the tree. What I've done with the tree, just for pedagogical purposes, is to break each one of those 12 categories down into their 12 component parts by putting a miniature tree on each one. So I end up with 144 like minor aspects of the tree, or what I would call stages of life, stages of history, spirituality, and consciousness. And I've compiled those lists, those 144 stages, into a list or a guide that I would be happy to share with you for free if you click the link in the description. Now, each day, we're going to be covering one of those 144 different minor aspects. And today we're looking at number 26. What can prevent us from improving ourselves? And this here is located in the A-sphere. So we're talking about the A-sphere. This is the consensus worldview. This is our belief systems and our rationalization. And this is, the deceiver. And this is, where all the resources, all the institutions are located, and the conventional wisdom. And then the ninth sphere, we're located in this number 26 is the ninth fractal of the eighth sphere. So we're within an aspect of the ninth sphere as well, which is, heightened receptivity, which is blind following, imitation, and learning. So this is the minor aspect here within the A-sphere. So what we're going to be talking about is a combination of those things. What can prevent us from improving ourselves? Number 26, peer pressure. It's called peer pressure. Number 26 is about overcoming the pushback that is programmed to prevent people from thinking and acting for themselves. The powers that be want us to give flack to anyone outside the bounds, outside the boundaries. We can stray only one standard deviation from the norm before triggering peer pressure. Conform and we'll be living large. So be a good sport. Don't venture out. Stay inside the standard deviation. Or they'll turn my life into a scuffle. Bust me off to do the Thorazine shuffle. Classify me way out on the fringes. Make me renounce my heretical tinges. And testify I got better due to Doc's syringes. I must stay inside the standard deviation called normal. Inside the standard deviation called freedom. Don't like it? Well, they can't have anybody being a grouch. Or we'll find ourselves sprawling out on the shrink's couch. Or swallowing something to cheer us up from the doc's pouch. Can't have anybody being a Grinch. How dare we diss consumerism and penny pinch? Calling me a quitter and a traitor if I try to escape from the guilty pleasures that we once spent together? I'm trying to do better, and you're cutting me down? They will humiliate and alienate us until it's persona non grata. And the heat just got hotter. Even police blotta for something trumped up, framed up, or entrapped with permanent agents now assigned to our case. If we go against their dictates, we're ostracized for life. They're not going to take us seriously, not until we earn it with a U. Not until it's posthumous. But before that, all our actions are delirious. And then, after we earn it, they'll scatter our dust, scatter our ashes to the winds, and co-opt our legacy to their whims, if they can. Cultural jail cells. We do it to each other and even to ourselves. Freedom is in theory only. Conspiracy reality. Conspiracy tautology. And the pressure we exert on others makes us conspirators too. All right, that is number 26, the 9th fractal of the 8th sphere, peer pressure. And thank you for sticking around to the end of the video. We'll have more to say about all of these in the future, but that is the thumbnail on number 26. And please click the like button if you are so inclined. You can also donate directly to me through Cash App and Venmo listed in the description. You can get my free guide by clicking the link in the description. You can share the video with others. You can subscribe to the channel, and you can make constructive comments in the comment section. I appreciate all of those things. And tune in tomorrow if you would like to hear the next installment of the 144 Fractal Faculties. And have a great day otherwise.